Good evening, Mr. Bond fans, and welcome once again to what may well be the last No Time to Die update video on this channel for a good long while. This is kind of following on from the previous update video that I did on the movie, where we were kind of talking about, speculating about what the delay could possibly mean for the film. There have been rumours about reshoots and the like, and while I was always quite skeptical about that, we seem to have full, proper confirmation from the film's director that, yeah, no reshoots are going to be happening. The film is locked. So this comes from Cary Fukunaga, obviously the director of Bond 25, No Time to Die. It comes from his Instagram page. Someone commented on a post Cary made on his Instagram account saying, "Mega cool shooting and interview. Can't wait for November. Did this allow you to extra trim it and polish it?" Obviously referring to the Bond movie. And Cary Fukunaga himself replied with, "Some people have asked me this, and although more time would have been lovely, we had to put our pencils down when we finished our post-production window, which was thankfully before COVID shut everything else down." Someone else followed up on that for an extra bit of clarification, I suppose, by asking, "But aren't you allowed to add some polish at a later moment? I mean, your intention is to make the best Bond movie, so why not use such a delay to add some polish?" And Cary further responded with, "Short answer is money, and although Bond is a big movie, we still have to weigh cost with value. And like anything, you could tinker endlessly. The movie is great as it is. Hope y'all will feel the same too when it comes out." And then a flexing bicep emoji. So he's clearly very quietly confident with the product that he's made. So, there we go, straight from the horse's mouth, as it were. There will be no reshoots for No Time to Die. And again, this kind of clarifies a lot of the stuff that we discussed in the previous update vlog about No Time to Die, specifically that, well, nothing is shooting right now. So if reshoots were to happen, it would presumably be towards the end of summer, if the predictions of sort of when life might return to some kind of normal following the coronavirus outbreak. Late summer might well have been the earliest time that they could have hoped to do reshoots. Also, Daniel Craig appeared in a very short video posted to the official 007 social media pages recently. He was doing the clapping for the NHS and the key workers that's happening here in the UK every Thursday at 8 PM, and you can bet that I'm out at a window clapping along for all of the health workers. But anyway, Daniel Craig filmed his own short video along with some of the other Bond stars clapping along, and it's clear from that, you know, he's had a hair change, he doesn't look the same, so in order for him to get into the same kind of physical condition, you know, as he was for the majority of the No Time to Die shooting, for him to get back into that condition with very little notice, with no kind of you know, set date for when reshoots might happen, it's just kind of not going to happen. But even without reshoots, this is saying something to say that, you know, they're not going to go into the editing suite and tinker around and try to fine-tune anything. I do agree with what Cary says, like, when he says, "And like anything, you could tinker endlessly." I mean, what was it? Tom Cruise said something about Stanley Kubrick was still editing The Shining on the set of Eyes Wide Shut, which was nearly 20 years after The Shining was released. I think that's true. I think filmmakers could endlessly try different things and fall in and out of love with certain things, so I think it's probably for the best that the film is just locked down, and it's gonna be released in November, and that's that. And it's alright for us, obviously, on, you know, to comment and say, like, "Oh, well, why don't they just do an extra edit, trim it down, it's already too long," and all that kind of stuff. But then that would, like he said, that would require extra money. You need to hire editors to do that. You need to get editing facilities, the equipment, all this kind of stuff, which would just add to the cost of the thing. And when the studio have already lost quite a bit of money on the advertising, you know, April, November now, they've lost so much money on the need to redo so much of the promotional material that, yeah, are they really gonna spend X million more dollars with, you know, fine-tuning when they already have a completed movie in the can that the director is clearly very happy about? So, that's it. No Time to Die exists. A completed Bond film exists on some hard drive somewhere, and we all just have to wait a few months for it to be released. And as we're once again in this void between Bond films, the tabloids are once again doing their best to pump out as many clickbait articles as possible, and one of the ones that kind of gained some traction within the last month or so was that No Time to Die may in fact not be Daniel Craig's final Bond film, and that a sixth film, he might be up for a sixth film. This is one of those stories that came out of like a source, and it was printed in the Sun newspaper, so I obviously take it with a big old pinch of salt. Personally, basing this on nothing but my gut instinct and kind of how I see things panning out, I can't imagine Craig's gonna come back for a sixth one. I think this will be the last of his films. And I'm kind of fine with that. I think that generally in the fandom, and even outside of the fandom, more casual movie fans, I think we're all in a place right now where we're ready for a new Bond, I think. He's had a good run. He's had, in years, the longest tenure of any Bond, which is quite something, even though he's only had 5 movies in that time. I think everyone is kind of ready for a bit of a reinvention, a rejuvenation, just like what he brought with Casino Royale in 2006. So if No Time to Die is indeed his last one, I'm kind of fine with that. I'm happy. Based on the previous 4 films that we've had, if he wanted to go on and do another one, I wouldn't be complaining either. I really don't dislike his Bond. I think he's a great Bond. But again, just based on my own gut instinct, I'm fairly convinced No Time to Die will indeed be his last. In other bits of news, one of the articles that certainly grabbed my attention more was a recent one with Léa Seydoux, where she kind of talked about how No Time to Die is actually a very emotional film, and how she actually cried watching it. This was in an interview with California Style and Culture magazine, and her exact quotes are, "But there's a lot of emotion in this Bond," she says. "It's very moving. I bet you're going to cry, if you like to cry. When I watched it, I cried, which is weird because I play in it." It's a really interesting comment because I don't know if any Bond film has ever kind of been pitched on the basis of being emotional, and maybe she is just responding to some of the more character-based, some of the more character drama elements of the film, and that's fine. I would be, curious to know what kind of emotional punch it could pack that makes her so convinced that audience members will cry. But then saying that, the Craig era does have a bit of a tendency to try and tug at the heartstrings a little bit. I can't deny maybe, shedding a tear or two when M passed away in Skyfall, or, even now watching Casino Royale, that scene where Vesper kills herself is like a real whoa. It's a punch to the gut. So I do wonder what they're going to do to try and equal those moments, which are moments that I would say are probably the most emotional of Craig's tenure as Bond. So that's it for the No Time to Die updates. All that has to be said now, I think, is that we, on a sadder note, speaking about emotions, we lost an iconic Bond actress recently in the form of Honor Blackman, obviously, who played Pussy Galore in Goldfinger. She was 94 years old and she died of natural causes, and I posted about this on my social media pages, and I think that living to the age of 94 and living the life that she had, as far as living life goes, she did pretty damn well out of it. I mean, 2 iconic roles under her belt with Avengers and Goldfinger, and then spending her entire career as a working actress. I saw her in Cockneys vs. Zombies, which is about as outrageous as the title implies, and she plays one of the Cockneys, and she gets an AK-47 and goes around London shooting some zombies, and she's fantastic in it. She's fantastic in everything. She's just one of those actresses, is it Clash of the Titans, or one of the other Ray Harryhausen ones where she plays a Greek goddess or a Roman goddess or something like that. She's fantastic in that as well. As far as living a life goes, she had 2 iconic roles under her belt. She lived a long, happy life, and she, a bit like how when Roger Moore passed away, it's like, I think we're all very sad that a great personality, a great character has left this earth, but as far as life goes, pretty much nailed it, and as long as human beings are watching cinema, talking about cinema, appreciating cinema, Goldfinger will be a part of that. Her performance will be a part of that. She is truly iconic in that film. People are going to be appreciating her, admiring her, lusting over her, even perhaps for decades, maybe even centuries, maybe even millennia to come. So that is it from me for this time, Bond fans. But if you have any opinions on any of the topics that I have covered in this video today, particularly on the subject of whether or not Daniel Craig will be coming back for another Bond film, I'm really curious to know kind of what the gauge is on that. I'm pretty sure how I described the fan response to that news was earlier on in this video. I think that I'm fairly on the money with that. Let me know if I'm wrong. Let me know if you're absolutely determined that you come back for a sixth one or not. Please do let me know in the comment section below. And also below you can find links to my social media pages, my Twitter, my Facebook, and even my Patreon page if you want to go one extra step in supporting this channel. Please do head below to find those links. And until next time, Bond fans, so long for now.